everybody, and welcome to this week's Ask Me Anything. We are thrilled that you are here. I am Teresa Micheletti, the Marketing and Social Media Manager for Detour, which is our company, and we make the Cyrcle Phone. So for those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who've been here before, welcome back. So before we can get on with our really big announcement, which we're thrilled to share with you live, very exciting, I have to introduce our CEO, Christina Cyr. Let me just bring her right in. Sorry, Martin. Here we go. Hi, Christina.
Hey, everybody.
So, Christina, do we want to just jump right in to the big announcement, or do we have any questions that we want to just kind of a couple answers so that anybody who still kind of wants to get in has a moment to do so if they're running a little behind in their life?
Oh, that's a good point. So, yes, let's go ahead and handle the first question. So, in lieu of not in lieu, but in addition to our big announcement, we had somebody write in with a lot of really good questions about the Cyrcle Phone. So we will be addressing those today. And so we would like to talk about, first of all, let's also discuss, it's been a long journey. So since we released our last phone via Kickstarter, it's been waiting for that perfect module for the phone. And then we've since then been working hard on this particular version of the Cyrcle Phone. So we're definitely still on schedule to launch it, the pre-sales this year. I'm happy to say that despite coronavirus, despite all the craziness of 2020, and we already have kind of the campaign page blocked out, and we already have the video. It was shot back in March. We just had a couple things on the technical side appear, and they're all advantages that we were like, wow, we can go ahead and grab that one too. So I'm glad that we took the time to reach for those. It certainly will benefit our users, and definitely we'll be able to deliver a much better product. So very excited about that. So our first question today, and I don't know, are we allowed to say the name of the person who asked these questions?
I didn't check with him, so at the moment, no, but I bet he's watching, so I'll double check on that. But
Yes,
if not, thank you to friend.
It's definitely a mobile phone aficionado who wrote in these questions. I could tell right away. He really knew what to look for. And even when asked what model phone he had, it was definitely a particular model. He has the Moto 7 Power. So it has an extra long battery life for 3 days. And so it was interesting that he really sought out that product. But because of that, he just knew what questions to ask. So his first question, and it involves a lengthy answer, and it says, what bands are supported on the Cyrcle Phone, and will there be international options? And I'm happy to say, yes, we will have plenty of international options. So basically, we have one version that supports Europe, the Middle East, Africa, India, Korea, Taiwan, South Asia, Latin America, Australia, and New Zealand. And then we have a North American version. And of course, that supports all of North America, Canada, America, Mexico. And then we also may feature the Japanese version. So we have the option of doing that if we get more than 200 orders for Japan. We will also be offering that model as well. So we're excited about that. So for the first model, that offers bands B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B7, B8, B20, and B28. And the North American version offers B2, B4, B5, B7, B12, B13, B14, B17, B25, B26, 66 and band 71. So all of these Bs that I'm rattling off are bands, and B71 is actually the latest band added by T-Mobile. So it's really advantageous that we do have that on our model. And then on the Japanese version, we have the LTE bands B1, B3, B5, B8, B11, B18, B19, B21, B26, B28. And the reason I'm reading these off, these are all pretty close together, and I wanted to make sure to be very accurate with those. So shall we go ahead and go into our main announcement? Is this a good time for that?
Absolutely. No time like the present. So just a quick thank you. Those who are currently with us, the 18 and growing number of you, thank you. We don't pick favorites, but we're like extra thrilled with you specifically today because it's far more fun to have folks live with us to engage with. So thank you. And without further ado, other than a drum roll, Christina.
Yay. So what we're announcing today is Android 10. So as you know, some handset providers have rolled out Android 10 a little bit later. And even Motorola, they rolled it out on one of their models as late as May this year. So as a smaller mobile phone company, it's an honor for us to have the latest, greatest on our phone. And I realized that Android 11 just got announced, like 10 days ago. And it is rolling out on models like the Pixel. But it will take a long time for Android 11 to be adopted industry-wide. And so we're going to stick with the stable version of Android 10, and we'll have that on our models for as long as possible. So, and I see that we do have a question in the comments. I'm just jumping to that.
You beat me to it. Amazing.
And actually, it's not showing up on my screen, so maybe you can read off the question.
Yeah, it's Tim giving a hey, hello. So not technically a question, but hello, we're thrilled that you are here. If anybody at any point has a question for us, follow-up, clarification, something completely different, of course, put them in the comments now. If we get a flood of them, we will try and get to all of them. And if not today, definitely in the future, next week's Ask Me Anything. We do these every Thursday. So also, if you have a question 2 days from now, send us a message or comment back on this video or the scheduled event for next week, and we will answer them. So even if you can't join us live, we want to fulfill your curiosity and give you whatever information you are wondering about.
And so the reason that it took us a while to announce Android 10, we actually knew about it earlier in the year, but it actually broke a lot of the fixes that we had implemented in Android 9 to the user interface. And so we had to go back in and actually find where those bits of code had been relocated in Android 10. And so it's taken some time. So I was able to make it work in mid-September. Actually knew about it, but it's been an adventure, let's just say that. So here I have, and actually it doesn't look much different than Android 9. So right here I have a Facebook notification on mine, so I'm going to go ahead and swipe that and swipe up on the screen. So, and there's still some fixes that we need to do to the screen. You'll notice that the icons are a little bit different in position than they were previously. And so we will be tweaking kind of those positionings, and also of the widgets. The widget positions also changed as well. So some more of the real estate is being taken up by, for example, the status bar at the top by various by the system, and some applications are taking advantage of that. And there's also some exciting, and the code's been there for a while, but more and more applications are taking advantage of full screen. And so that's really exciting to us because that means that you're taking advantage of the full circle on our phone. But because of that, we are having to make some adjustments. So right now we have a very stable build, and we'll just be making minor tweaks from here on out until we deliver to the customer. So the next question that we have is, how long does the battery last? And the battery lasts, with normal usage, it lasts about a day and a half. So it's comparable to your normal cell phones. Definitely not the Moto 7 Power, which lasts 3 days, but definitely comparable to normal mainstream phones that you'll find. And our phone's pretty normal, besides the round display. So your pictures look vastly better on the round display than it does on the. And Nick, I see your question about the screen resolution, and I'm going to go ahead and jump to that. That's actually our next question. It's 800 by 800, and this is better than the following major brand phones. So for Apple, it's better than iPhone SE. For Samsung, it's better than the Galaxy J2, Galaxy J7, and Galaxy A2 series. It's better than the LG K20, K30, K8, Aristo 2, K11, Tribute Empire, X Power 3, K10, X4 Plus, Zone 4, and Candy. And it's better than the Lenovo Motorola's Moto E5 Play, Moto E5 Play Go, and Moto E5 Cruise. So you basically won't notice much of a difference between other cell phones and our resolution. That's one of the reasons why we're so excited about this particular 800 by 800 resolution. The quality is just spectacular. There have been some other round displays which have come on the market just in the last 18 months, but most of them are 320 by 320 or lower. So we're really fortunate to have this 800 by 800 and offer you the quality that you come to expect these days from a mobile phone. So the reason I read off those for manufacturers, and I don't know, is it possible to share out my screen?
Yeah, you should be able to hit that button and add it.
Bar graphs are fun.
While that's being set up, I wanted to just share and show a fun comment from Tammy from YouTube. Correct. The phone may be normal, but non-rectangular, because, we make non-rectangular phones for non-rectangular people. And if you're curious, if you're new here, we're thrilled that you are here. If you're curious, like, what do we mean by being non-rectangular? I actually did a whole Ask Me Anything where it's just me kind of talking through that concept. But in short, be yourself. Whatever that means. I color my hair, get piercing. Oh, and so does Christina. We do the hair color. So
we're big on the hair thing. Okay, so I just wanted to show this actually on Counterpoint's actual website. I know several people at Counterpoint research, and they just do a great job at researching, particularly the mobile phone market. I'm having trouble lining. Okay, whoops. Sorry, my scroll keeps jumping around here. Okay. Still a little bit. Okay. Let's see if I can share. And I'm sorry, we didn't even prep this in advance, but I'm like, hey, we have this great graphic.
That is one of the things about being a smaller company. Small team, but that does not mean we're not mighty. However, there are, limitations to how much we can do, how fast, because a human can only do so much. So we appreciate your patience and your grace, and also your support. Kickstarter coming this year. What? Anyway, while Christina's getting that, if anybody has more questions, I'm just going to put up our little ticker for a minute because I think that's fun. What else are you curious about? Let's see. And here is, oh, I had this one pulled up too. All right, here we go.
Okay,
Okay.
so this is Counterpoint Research. This is the US smartphone market by share by quarter. This is the latest. It was out in August 17th. And you can see here that in America, Apple sells quite a bit. And then the next down is Samsung and then LG, Lenovo. Lenovo actually owns Motorola, and they make the Moto series phones that so many people enjoy. And so we're always interested to see these particular graphs come out. And then outside of the United States, I wanted to talk about the screen just a little bit more. Outside of the United States, there are, and I'm going to see if I can pull that one up. Sorry for the hesitation here. There's a different demographic for companies that kind of own the landscape there. Outside of the United States, you'd be surprised, Apple doesn't sell as much as Android phones. So as soon as this particular website shows.
While that's loading, we had a question if it has scratch-resistant glass. Thank you, Nick. Yay! Oops, sorry, that was very fast. Yes, so does it have scratch-resistant glass at this point? Oh, I think she's frozen. Unless I missed them.
It doesn't have scratch-resistant glass. That's a really good question. It does come. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I think we're having just a bit of internet lag. We were just saying, does it have scratch-resistant glass?
Teresa, what did you say?
Oh, dear. 1 second. Just going to let the internet kind of tag flat. Sorry, everybody.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and answer Nick's question. So does it have scratch-resistant glass? And the answer is no, it does not. It does come with a screen protector on top of it. So you can see here, I've taken off the tag, but the tag was here. You can peel off the protector if you want. I choose to leave it on and just deal with the, there's a little bit of residue that's left on from the tag. I just cut off the tag. So that's what we're doing now. We have talked about adding to our package for our customers a cell helmet. It's a liquid-based scratch-resistant solution, and you can apply it as an end user to your phone. It's extremely strong. A lot of mobile phones are using it today, and it's a really good product. So if we can, we will add it as one of the accessories you can buy for the phone, because nobody makes a round screen protector right now. So although they can, we have talked to vendors about that, but this liquid solution just sounds like a better solution in the meantime until we can get that. So, and thank you for the reply, Nick. I see that you said, cool, thanks for the reply. Including a screen protector is a great idea. So since we're multicasting to 12 different channels, so it helps us to actually read out the responses. So thank you for joining us today on Facebook, Nick. So the next screen that I wanted to share was actually of the global. And let me see if I can scroll down on this one so that you can see the entire graph, especially the bottom. So why this is important is outside of America, and unfortunately, Huawei phones cannot be sold in America. Oh, really don't like the way it refreshes like that. I apologize for that. Let me see if I can. Okay, so Huawei actually sells the most phones outside of the United States. And the reason why that's important is because they're not even allowed to sell in the United States. So at least through carriers. You can get unlocked phones, for example, on via Amazon. And frankly, I think Huawei, besides our phone, Huawei actually makes a stellar mobile handset. So I really like their phones a lot. They've received awards, and you've heard me talk on previous AMAs about Huawei, but they've received awards for their user interface, and it's just a great phone. Samsung, of course, is second in the running, and then we see Apple as well. After that, there are three companies which are not heard very often within the United States. These are Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo. These sell large quantities in China and across the globe. Unfortunately, we just don't hear of them much here in the United States. And the reason why that's important, so back to the resolution of the screen, if you are joining us from outside of the United States and you're interested how we stack up against the companies which are which sell outside of the United States. So our resolution is better than the Huawei Y3 series, Y5 series, Y6 series, Y7 series, P9 Lite Mini, Enjoy 6 and 6S, and the Oppo A71, that's A71, and the Vivo Y53i, and the Xiaomi Redmi Go, which that's been a kind of a beloved product for a while. So we can stop screen sharing now. Sorry, that's been so clunky. Thank you.
worries.
So moving on, what screen technology, LCD, OLED, AMOLED, is used? And we use a beautiful liquid crystal display, LCD. LCD is still more power efficient than OLED or AMOLED displays. That means that your battery will last longer. And that's one of the reasons why we're happy to have that on our product. So I know that people are very happy and excited to tout OLED and AMOLED displays, but they're a little bit bluer as well as kind of battery hogs. So maybe in the future we'll have AMOLED. You can get a very high resolution with AMOLED, and that's kind of one of the exciting parts about that. But right now, we're pretty happy with the solution that we have. So it solves a lot of problems, especially with the battery. The color is bright, and it's just a beautiful display. So will I be able to use all Google Play Store apps on the phone? So as you saw, we're trying out different apps, and you saw that I had a notification from Facebook on the phone today. We've also tried like Discord and Instagram and Twitter, and those have been successful. So the mainstream apps are working. But there's a process to go through that you have to go through as a handset manufacturer to be able to use the Google Play Store. So it's a licensing of Google mobile services, and we have just submitted several of our prototypes to undergo Google mobile services testing. It was the first time that we released any of our units outside of our company. That was nerve-wracking, scary, exciting, thrilling, all at once. So wish us luck. If those pass, we will have the option of providing the Google Play Store and apps within the Google Play Store. So if that does not happen, there are actually several open source store options available, and we would be happy to feature one of those on our phone. So you can still get the apps that you like and are used to. And yeah, so we'll keep you posted.
And if you're curious, sorry, Christina.
Go ahead.
If you are curious to see like what does an open source like app store look like, 2 weeks ago, I'll put a link in the comments in a moment. But we showed off some of what some apps from F-Droid is one of them. What like the YouTube app from F-Droid looks like. So I'll put the link for that one in the comments. But also, just if you're curious about lots of stuff, just watch all of our last previous AMAs. because you'll find all kinds of good stuff in there. All right, go ahead, Christina.
Thank you. Yes, and so moving on, how will the phone handle presentation of typically rectangular apps? So the display, as you can see, is a perfect circle. So it's a perfect circle, but let's go ahead and swipe up here. Sorry, I have fingerprints on my screen, so I need to watch my screen.
Golly, Christina, you touched your smartphone screen?
That's right.
That's so strange.
Okay, so the issue is that, for example, the navigation bars on the bottom and the system bar on the top are really taking up a lot of space, especially on Android 10. So even though our display is a round circle, a perfect circle, you're kind of getting sandwiched on the top and the bottom with the system bars. And so because of that, we're featuring apps in the landscape position, orientation, excuse me, is the technical term for it. And so you'll just be, as you would normally see your apps in a landscape display. So for example, on a tablet, if you're looking at it in the landscape orientation, then that's what we will be showing on the Cyrcle phone. So that's a really great question. Does the phone support multi-touch gestures and gesture navigation for apps? So the Cyrcle phone supports all the gesture navigation updates of Android 10. Does the phone use USB-C for charging? Yes, the Cyrcle phone uses USB Type-C with USB 3.0 for charging, so it's fast, which is really exciting. The Cyrcle phone also includes, as backup, a USB Micro B connector, and that uses USB 2.0. So that you'll experience USB 2.0 standard charging times for that particular connector. But it's useful to have in case, for example, you're in a place that's hard-coded to that Micro B port, or you just happen to have Micro B cables on hand, whether you go to visit relatives and they haven't switched to USB Type-C yet. So it's really handy to have both.
Yeah, the idea and feature that, like, oh no, I forgot my power cord and I'm out anywhere in the world, like at work. Hey, does anybody have a power cord? Well, the fact that you have two different types of cords will work. That increases your chances of your phone being able to get recharged on the go if you happen to forget your cord. And I know I have been guilty of that, and I know so many other people who, that's a human thing. So having that backup is, I think, genius. But it's Christina's idea.
It's nice. And we have a hard switch that switches back and forth. We leave it default in the Type-C connector position. But if you ever get stuck someplace, then you can always switch it to the other charging port. So will the phone support induction charging? I'm so sad about this. I really wanted this to happen. But the Cyrcle phone currently does not support induction charging. But we may offer a clip-on later, which allows that functionality. So you've seen the phones which have clip-ons later that it plugs into your USB Type-C port, but is on the back of your phone. It makes your phone just a little bit bulkier, but you do have that option of induction charging. So hopefully we can do that. And I see a question from Tim. Thank you very much for your question. Are you using a dual SIM and micro SD slot or a hybrid dual SIM slot? So that's a really, really good question. Oh, and you could show the question on the screen.
I learned something new.
New. Okay. So that's a really good question. And I'm glad that people can see it printed, because this is a huge distinction. We actually have separate slots for the SIM cards, our dual SIM, and then a separate slot for the SD card. I don't like popping out my SIM when I pop out my SD card. I was really adamant about separating those. So I made sure that those were separate so that you're not disturbing your SIM card when you're ejecting your SD card, and vice versa. So that's that was just really important, an important point to me. So I made those separate. Tim, thank you for your question. And
if you're curious of how that works, Christina, quite some time ago, again, I'll find the link and put it in the comments, did a neat little, I think it was a Twitter post, but it's just a short little video showing the internal like mechanics of how that works. And when I first saw it, I was like, hey, Christina, what is it? Just because I'm a theater person professionally and relatively new to this tech world, but she gave me a chance, and here we are. Yeah, so it was super cool to see the inside of that. So if you're curious, I'll put the link in. And in general, the fact that we might get to this, you can open the case, and Christina can go more into that to see the guts if you're curious. I haven't done that because I don't want to break it, because I don't know what I'm doing as far as like the guts of a phone. But if you know what you're doing or are just curious and not as scared, you can. So.
Teresa's being super modest. So the reason why she hasn't opened it up is we're pretty tight on the enclosure with the buttons. And because of that, there's a danger for shaving off the buttons. And that involves kind of an expensive repair when you pop the buttons off to solder those back on. So they're just super small parts and very delicate. So we've encouraged not to take the board out of the case, but and with COVID, we actually have not been able to sit side by side and go over how to remove the PCB from the enclosure without damaging the buttons. So hopefully our final enclosure will actually have a solution for that, so it's not as difficult. We are huge, strong believers in the right to repair, and so making our components easier to remove from the enclosure and put back in is really important to us. So we hope to adjust that on the final design.
And I will say, for that hope, and as you've heard, Christina has so many plans and like sees the vision, such as, well, currently nobody has around screen protectors, so we're going to find something that will work for the time being until other companies figure out that we are awesome and they should make circular things with us. Yeah, so there's a lot of things like that Christina sees and is actively working to solve, as well as like we wanted to do the induction charging, but like we can only do so much so fast. And so I think it's fascinating and very intelligent the way that she is prioritizing, like that can be an add-on a little bit later. So we're focusing on the things and the improvements to the phones that have to happen before they ship, that we can't like fix later. So as far as hopefully we'll solve that, part of being able to solve these things and make it truly the best and the way, like the beautiful vision that Christina has is when it comes around, we'll need help on our Kickstarter. So we'll get more into that when we're actually closer, and I'll start hyping leading up to it. But just put it in your mind, if you would, the idea of a small business, local Seattle, strong women, et cetera, people over product over profit type of company. $5, $20, $1,000 will be helpful. So just maybe keep that in the back of your mind as you're thinking of like holiday things. Maybe you've got a friend or a loved one who would think this is really cool. So surprise them with like, I donated in your name, or haha, I got you a smartphone. So
we have a question from Kyle Thomas, and I'd really like to take that. Is there a way that we can display his question about the headphone jack? Perfect.
Yeah. He also said, thinks he likes that we have the SD slot, but a lot of new phones don't. So thank you also for the compliment.
Mm-hmm. So we actually have not just one headphone jack, we have two. So we have two 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks. So it's so you can share your music and your videos with the person next to you. I know in COVID, you may be with your COVID buddy, and so maybe you could share that way. Lots of kids do that. I noticed that people in their 20s were kind of buying up headphone jack splitters about 18 months ago. And so I thought it was an advantage for connecting people with their phone instead of everybody kind of being face down in their phone and not connecting with the person around them. It's also advantageous, I've noticed, just in using it over the past year, to actually have it on both sides, so that if one side's not working for you because of how you have it in your pocket or how you have it, a lot of times I view it when I'm in bed. And so, if you're on a particular side and you want the headphone jack going off in a different direction, you have that option. So just to demonstrate, I have a black headphone set here and a white one. So let's see if we can.
And while she's grabbing that, I just, when I started working with her and learning about this phone, which I previously knew nothing about, help us spread the word. And she told me there are 2 headphone jacks. I thought that was very neat. And I love the fact, like she just said, that they are on either side of the phone. They're not just both on the left side, for instance, but they're on both sides. And as a left-handed person, the ability to, so much of the world is designed for right-handed people. So like she was saying, if the way you hold your phone, you want to switch the side that your headphone jack is on, that is true. And also for me, I think it's great because that means as a left-handed person, I can put the headphone plug on the other side and I have that option. So it was exciting for me of like inclusivity and accessibility, because that is also something we look to do and improve. And in fact, we had an enclosure contest. Oh, I'll tell you about that later. Here's Christina's phone.
Okay, so I didn't realize, but the black headphone jack actually has the Type-C port on it. So I just wanted to demonstrate the, here's one, here's 2. And if you're listening to the debate, actually, I listened to Casey Neistat's videos, so that's kind of my guilty pleasure there. So that's how it works in that way.
Yeah. And I remember growing up, like, on the bus or wherever, you had one headphone, like somebody gets the left, somebody gets the right ear. Well, now you don't have to do that. And also, have you measured how long a headphone set is? It's about 3 feet-ish. I don't have my measuring tape with me, but 3 + 3 is 6, an appropriate social distance. So with masks, please be careful, please be smart, please be safe, but also we all need human connection. And Christina's original plan and reasoning for having the 2 was so that you could connect well. And then, oh, boom, surprise, also because of the global pandemic, it means you can be far enough apart to be safe and following all the guidelines, but also be connecting with your friend. So
definitely. So the next question is really important. So how much storage space does a phone have? So the Cyrcle Phone has 32 gigabytes eMMC and 3 gigabytes LPDDR3. So for those of you who may not know what all those acronyms are, so eMMC is the storage. It stands for Embedded Multimedia Controller. And then the LPDDR is RAM, Random Access Memory. So LPDDR is an abbreviation for Low Power Double Data Rate. And yes, I'm reading this off just to make sure that I don't. Previously, I have misquoted acronyms. So it's also known as Low Power DDR, SDRAM, or LPDDR, SDRAM. And is a type of double data rate synchronous dynamic random access memory that consumes less power and is targeted for mobile computers. It's also known as mobile DDR and abbreviated as M, lowercase m, capital D, capital R, MDDR. So what all that means is that eMMC is the storage where you put everything, but the LPDDR RAM is the instant memory. So when the computer is saying, 2 plus 3 equals 5, and it stores 5 temporarily and then later uses 5 multiplied times 7. So RAM is where the computer can store just instant calculations, but and that's the LPDDR. But the eMMC is the storage where you store your photos, where you store your apps. It's all of your files. So it's a great place to have extra memory. So currently we're offering 32 gigabytes. There is an option in the future for a 64 gigabyte, but we would have to get quite a number of orders in order to tap into that extra memory. So in lieu of that, we offer the SD expansion card slots so that you can increase your memory size. So 32 gigabytes is nothing to be ashamed of. That's actually pretty standard for mid-tier mobile phones these days. And so if you're going to get a new phone and it's not the flagship Apple or the flagship Samsung, there's a good chance that you'll have a 32 gigabyte storage memory. So several of the more affordable series have a 32 gigabyte storage space. So, but most of them do not have the SD card expansion slot. So we have that. So, and that was the next question about the micro SD card slot. So we're going to skip past that. Is the phone waterproof or water resistant? I am so sorry, but we are not. So that's just not an achievement that we could accomplish with this particular model. So we hope that for future models, we can definitely offer that. But because of the number of ports that we offer and the features that we offer on our phone, there's so much chance, so many gaskets necessary and that need to be checked to be able to declare it water resistant. So, yeah.
At the moment, we can't make that claim because, as just she explained, that is a very tall order and a lot of things to figure out.
But that being said, we had a woman drop one of our prototypes in her drink in January at CES 2020, and it survived just well. But of course, that's alcohol, a little bit different. But
don't try that at home.
You can take it apart, you can dry it off. Whereas in a normal mobile phone, it's sealed and it's difficult to take apart and dry off. But ours, you can easily take apart, dry off, reassemble, and use it again.
Yeah, so. And with that, since you can open it up, and we had a whole enclosure contest of, anyway, in theory or in reality, because you can open it up, you could take our guts, the Cyrcle Phone guts, and put it in your own enclosure. You can 3D design and draft whatever you want that case to be, 3D print it or create it somehow, leave it to you to make your choice. This is something I just thought about. So maybe if you I'm going to go on a hike today or go backpacking, and I don't need all of these ports. In theory, maybe, Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, because I just thought about this. You could design your own enclosure that doesn't have so many holes in it and make it more water resistant for said excursions. Probably don't want to switch guts back and forth, but also I'm looking for a like one of those waterproof little phone bags that is the correct size. Again, because we are not rectangular. Many of the standard issue and available waterproof phone pouches are the wrong shape. But I'm looking for one that does fit us well, or our phone well. And if you know of one, shoot us a message. But we're looking for other solutions since we cannot yet make it water resistant, waterproof.
So That's true. We can't offer all of the different enclosures as an OEM because we have to have it FCC certified with the external enclosure that we will ship with if we do ship it pre-assembled. But as the end user, you are able to download, any of the models that were on the contest. We had over 64 entries. You can tweak it to your heart's desire. We open sourced the internals of the phone. We open sourced the current enclosure that we've been using for prototyping. And many of the contestants allowed for their prototypes to be downloaded as well. So there's lots of options out there for the end user to customize their phone the way that they want it to be. So
yeah, and I'll put a link for that contest page in the description later. But just if you're curious for just a hot moment, this is what it looks like. So you can get to the whole page and look at all of the information that folks got. But most importantly, boom, view all entries, and you can peruse everything, all of these amazing creations that people from around the world sent us. So there's, get in there, explore yourself. There's a lot of really unique, creative people who shared their talents with us. So
it's a lovely page. My Mini Factory always does a great job on their contest pages, and we're really grateful to them. We worked with them. They were an excellent partner, and we were really happy to offer that contest. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the resolution. So what resolution is the front-facing camera? So we're really excited because there's so much to be excited about, but we have a 13 megapixel front-facing camera. So because of that, your selfies will look so much better. Many mainstream phones only have 8 megapixel selfie cameras, and so we're excited to bump up the game a little bit with our selfie camera. We have the same camera on the back, so you have a 13 megapixel on the back. So for the mainstream phones that only have 8 megapixels, so if you're carrying around an iPhone 8, X, XR, XS, XS Max, and the latest SE that was released in 2020, it only has 8 megapixel selfie cameras. So those phones do. And so, yeah, we're excited to offer that. So does the phone support fingerprint unlock? So we are planning to utilize Android screen fingerprint unlock functionality, but I have to be honest, it's lower on the list for us in development than a couple other features. So we haven't gotten to that yet, but we hope to offer it in a future update. So it all depends, everything depends on our pre-sales, how many phones we're able to pre-sell, because that allows us capital to be able to grow our team and be able to focus on more features than just the ones that I can get to in the work week. So what processor is used in the phone? So we're really proud to have a speedy Qualcomm Snapdragon processor in the phone. So you shouldn't notice any delays in your games and switching between applications on our phone. So we're really excited about that.
We had a comment around the waterproof bag. Let me just read through it real quick. I don't know if it's just yeah, that's great. Yes. I'll just might as well share it. It's lots of information, but correct, Helen. I think it should be relatively easy for it to be made a waterproof bag that would fit our phone. So if anybody watching, you are or know somebody involved in a company that creates waterproof bags or anything like that, or creates custom phone cases that maybe we don't yet know, please put us in contact. We would love to make, and we're trying very hard to make this phone everything it can be, and want to have all the features that you as the consumer want. So if there are features that you definitely like our make or break for you. If I would definitely buy the phone if it had, whatever feature, let us know, because that helps us prioritize correctly for what the world and you all want. So let us know so we can make it the best as we can for this round. And then next round, we'll make it even better.
So those are all of our questions that we've taken today. And we really appreciate you joining us today for the hour. And we look forward to talking with you more about the new developments next week.
Just for a real quick, I'm just gonna give a moment, and anybody has a last question you're trying to type in real quick. We've already mentioned it, so this will be a shorter spiel, but Kickstarter upcoming, we'll get that later. You can find the Cyrcle Phone on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and Discord and Twitch, soon to be TikTok. All of those places and links are in the description. So if you don't use Facebook, or you have friends who don't use Facebook, but they're curious about the phone, we're probably on a platform that they use. So I just want to point out that we're trying to be very accessible there. And if there's a platform that we're not on that you think we should be, let me know, and I'll see if I can add it in the bag. It's kind of a long list for one person, but I think really that's all of it. Thank you for listening so much. Thanks for being here with us. Yes. Christina, anything last anything?
Nope, that's it. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Go Cyrcle Phone.
Go Cyrcle Phone. Yeah, we should
have a great week, everybody.
Cyrcle Phone.
Have a good week, everyone. All the best. Stay safe.